Hello there, guys, and welcome back to my channel. My apologies, I need to start with that. My apologies for another extended break from streams. I'm really struggling to get proper consistency going at the moment, but I was ill the past like nearly a week, nearly over the what's it called? Over the hill, over the mountain, whatever I call it. Nearly good again. You might hear my voice still being a bit weird, but we're nearly back. International break is tough. I can't lie. It's terrible. Now, Austria doing well. We're nearly qualified for the Euros. Beat Sweden 3-1 last night. Buzzing. But no Chelsea. It's a bit dead. But the problem is, because we are as bad as we are, and the fact that we're 12th again, it's not even like I can super look forward to when the international break is over. But when there's no international break, at least there's always this little bit of hope in you that you're like, yeah, but the next game could be better. Yeah, but the next game could be better. But during an international break, the next game is so far away that you're just kind of stuck with your misery from the last game for so long, and I just hate it. I absolutely hate it. The Chelsea fan base is constantly going at each other. This time round, the main culprit of the debates was Mykhailo Mudryk. We will talk about him. I'm not going to say at length, but we will talk about him because I find it not necessarily weird that he gets criticism. That I find understandable. But how much Chelsea fans keep arguing about him, I find almost baffling. Some are backing him a lot. Some are criticizing him a lot. Some are taking it way too far on both ends. And even the people that aren't in any of the extremes are still constantly talking about him. Have you ever seen a player that's playing this little amount of games be talked about this much? Never seen that before in my life. But hey, we'll talk about that. Chelsea's third kit has been released. In my opinion, absolute banger. Not quite sure why. I mean, Eton Blue is officially this color. I get it. But I don't understand who defined green as Eton Blue. But sure, it looks great. So I'm happy with that. And also, John Terry seems to be beefing Matt Law, which is, who would have thought we'd ever say that? That's quite funny. But we're also joined by a new guest today, as you can see on screen, CFC Deep Dive, Jamie. Jamie, first of all, thank you for joining us. I appreciate it very much. Putting you a little bit on the spot here now. But do you want to just quickly tell the people like a little something about you, like who you are, why you're here? That's I'm not asking you for a whole like introduction, but just like a little bit so people have like an idea more than Jamie.
Well, grew up in Asia, but when I was young, played football at a decent standard. Kind of did academy tour in England and Chelsea and United. A scout kind of liked me, and then I moved over to Paris to play for Paris FC. This was when I was like 14, 15. But couldn't quite make the next step, and standards there were a bit high. I tried to find a team in the UK afterwards, but it was just a bit of a struggle. So yeah, now just created this new channel where I'm gonna kind of go through weekly games for Chelsea, player and match reviews, and yeah, just follow me if you're interested in that kind of stuff.
Wonderful. Love to hear it, mate. Love to hear it. Hopefully we'll have you on a few more times on these streams as well, after games or whatever else. And Pice, I'll come to you. First of all, thank you for coming back on. I appreciate it as always, mate. I'm sure, even though you've just started a new job, I'm sure the international break has also been very boring for you. But what's the kind of main takeaway? Like, do you feel it like me where it's like, yeah, I mean, we're not really that much looking forward to Chelsea again because we're kind of a bit shit. But it's the problem that you're kind of stuck with not even being able to hope for a better new game for so long. That's at least my issue. Is it the same for you, or what is your main problem during international breaks?
Well, my main problem is just like it's 2 weeks of watching England. I have to watch Southgate ball after Chelsea lose games, and it's kind of depressing. I think after the Forest game, I was like it was one of those results where like you just want another game like 3 days later to win and then put it in the back of your mind. But because we've had to sit on it, losing at home, it's made things more frustrating. And I think the fan base is obviously just incredibly toxic on Twitter, as we know. Yeah, I think it's been quite a painful international break. There's still a few more days to go. But yeah, we won at Bournemouth away last season, in our worst ever season, which is quite ironic because we usually don't win at Bournemouth away. So yeah, I mean, I'm not looking forward to the game, but I'm like anticipating it. Like I'm eagerly anticipating to see what he's going to do. Poch, that is obviously, and yeah, see what happens. And yeah, sure, Laurenz.
Ah, very good. Just I wasn't sure if you'd like that. But yeah, I hear you completely. Now, obviously, England is a bit different to Austria because for us, when we then do edge closer to qualification, for us that's a a bit of an achievement, so we can be happy about that. While for England, you expect to win every international game because in these qualifiers, you're never going to play someone that's better than you, really, right? So you're always going to expect to beat everyone. So when you do, you're not going to be buzzing about it, and then when you don't win, you're going to be fuming about it. Let alone when you have Southgate who keeps picking Maguire, which I still understand to a certain extent in terms of the whole country's kind of against him. The Southgate kind of on a human level, I think, just wants to stick with him a little bit, which I guess I get. But just me, I'm not English, right? But surely it's come to a point where the ridicule that Harry Maguire gets, just take him out of the spotlight, man. Like, you're only making it worse by constantly playing him. Now he scored an own goal. Like, you're just making it worse, man. But anyway, not my topic. But yeah, let's just talk about the kit, shall we? Let's just talk about the kit because that was announced this morning. Obviously, Pys with a little insight yesterday already, which was quite good. Let me just see where is it now? I bloody got all of my tweets up, and now it's not there. There it is. Now, they call it Eton Blue, a vision stemming from our past, a look fit for the modern day, but inspired by our roots. Our new third shirt for the season echoes the spirit of our illustrious past, giving us the chance to etch another memory in the club's storied history. I'll scroll through a few pictures there. There you go, Mudryk being made important again. Chelsea first wore Eton Blue when the club was founded back in 1905 as the Earl of Carrigan. The club's president was an old Etonian. I have no idea what an Etonian is. I'll be perfectly honest. Maybe Pys or Jamie can inform me about that one. But yeah, holding the title of Viscount Chelsea, the president's racing colours inspired the Eton Blue kit until 1907, before we switched to darker shades of royal blue, for which we are renowned for. Racing colours for a flying start, maybe, but this shade of blue has never been forgotten. Eras have been harmonised, our roots analysed. Joining Eton Blue as a catalyst for the inspiration of the shirt is the jade hue away kit from the 1986-1987 season. At this point, the first footballer to score century goals for Chelsea, George Gatling Gun Hillsden, had been replaced by the legendary Kerry Dixon. Now I have to click show more, and then I can't scroll through the bloody thread anymore. The colour actually prominent on the shirt, shorts and socks is named Mint Foam, providing a contrasting canvas for a black trim and a wolf grey pattern, adding a touch of modernity to a timeless classic. Now, Mint Foam, much more realistic than, what do they call it? Eton Blue. But, boys, what do we think about it? Oh, Charlie is joining us as well. Hello, Charlie, mate. How you doing?
Hello, mate. Yeah, all good, lads.
What do you think about a new kit? I think it's absolutely banging, except of the term Eton Blue. I find it a bit weird. But otherwise, absolutely love it.
Mate, Eton Blue, basically, Eton's like a really posh, historic school in England. Like where a load of prime ministers went to and all that. So I think that's what the Eton thing's referring to.
All right. I hear it. I hear it. Polish Jerry has said similar as well. I think Etonian means a person who's a student of the Eton private school. Is Eton like a location?
Yeah,
like
mate. Eton's really posh school. It's like, I don't know exactly where it is, but yeah, it's like a proper posh private school. Like a load of like prime ministers and like politicians and that have come out of there. So yeah, I think that's what it refers to. Maybe their school uniform was that color back in the day. No idea, but yeah, mate, it's nice. To tell you what, mate, I had a look at it on the way home in the Chelsea shop on the way home today. I had a quick look. Mate, the color's really weird. I'll be honest. Like, I like it, but like it's weird. It's almost like a bit of a head fuck because I don't know if it's a blue or if it's green. Like when you see it in the pictures, right, don't really do it justice. When you see it in person, it's a bit of a head fuck with what actual sort of color it is. But it's really nice. And what I would say, right, it like normally I don't normally buy the vapor kits. I just go for the standard one.
Mm-hmm.
Like the vapor kit on this one looks much better than the sort of the standard issue one, if that makes sense. Like, but on the other
because of the pattern of the fabric, or
I don't know, but like on the home and away kits, like it doesn't really make that much difference. But for this one, definitely it seems to make a little bit of a difference. But mate, I like it. I think it's decent. I mean, it's pretty minimalist. But yeah, it does the job.
Fair play. No, like I say, now obviously you've seen it in person. I haven't have the chance to do that yet, but I like it. I really do like it. Now, I do find it a bit crazy that we've now announced all 3 kits and we still don't have a sponsor. I mean, there was a bit of talk about that last week. Like I say, I was ill, so we weren't able to talk about everything, how Infinite Athletes could still happen now, but probably only for a season, and then they might become like the sleeve sponsor or whatever. And next season, we might have someone else, potentially Ria there, which are owned by the same people that own Newcastle. So I'm like, is that even going to be allowed? But also, do we even want that? Will Newcastle even want that? I mean, very odd. But, let's focus on the kit for now. Pais, I'll come to you. Do you like this one as well? I mean, I think, personally, Chelsea we've been very critical of Nike since they've become our, shirt manufacturers, I guess. In terms of the kits they've produced, there've been a few good ones, but I feel like this time they've kind of hit the full house, personally. I like all of them. What do you reckon?
I really like the first one. I think it's the best home kit we've had in years. Personally, I really do think it's the best one we've had in many seasons. This one, I agree with Charlie. Like, I need to see it like in person because it does seem like a bit of like a, like it plays tricks on your mind because like you see it in pictures and it looks like a not a light blue, but look like a bluey green. And then I've seen other pictures where it looks like a really just like looks like really washed out. And it's I don't know if I don't know, like I'm yet to conclude on my thoughts on this, but in pictures with like, as you can see, there's a lot of lighting. It looks brighter than it actually might be in person. Like I think in person it might be looking really washed out and not as nice. I don't know, like we're wearing it this weekend anyway, so we'll see. But
I think it's definitely out of the 3 kits, I like them all, but it's probably the worst of the 3, if that like in the nicest way possible. It's probably the one that I'd rank at the bottom out of the 3 kits.
That's interesting. I'd probably put it home kit first, then the 3rd kit, and then the away kit. Not that I dislike the away kit, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
They've done well with like all the little threading, like in all the kits, like there's these like little hidden details in the threading and all that. I think that's pretty cool, but. I mean,
that is cool. I think that's maybe what Charlie was getting at in terms of that. I think only the Vapor version has that. I think the Stadium one might not.
Because these are the Vapor ones he's wearing. Like the Stadium ones, I think that's what they call it.
Flat.
They just don't. It's just like they don't have it.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Right.
Just to bring this up quickly before you go into it more, Jamie, in terms of your thoughts. Vic said here, Eton Blue or Shelduck Blue is a shade of green. Make of that what you will. Used since the early 19th century by sportsmen of Eton College. Yeah, fair play, I guess. But cheers for that, Vic. I appreciate it. Jamie, though, other than in terms of the pattern, which I agree with you, by the way, do you like the kit, the 3rd kit? I'll bring up a picture where we can see all 3 kits so we can...
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. I think I'm more like simple when it comes to my kit, so I'll prefer the home kit. The away kit's a bit crazy, but like, yeah, I like it. Just plain. It'd be good to see it with like Infinite Athlete or some kind of sponsor on it. I think that'll make a big difference. We'll see, but I think I'd personally buy it without the sponsor if I went for it.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think.
Wait, do we know when the obviously they're selling them sponsorless now, but when the sponsor is confirmed and out, does that mean that the sponsorless shirts are then off sale? I don't know if Pice knows anything about that, but like, does that mean you can't? Will you be able to buy sponsorless and sponsored option, or once the sponsored option's available, the sponsorless option's gone?
I think you'll only be able to buy the sponsored version. I think in the future they might do both, but
I think they said they were going to stop sales for this once the sponsor comes out of the other version. Yeah. So you kind of have to do it now if you want it.
Yeah, that's kind of making me want to buy it then, because like just because it's got no.
Maybe that was the whole plan all along. Maybe we've got a sponsor wrapped up since June. Do you know what I mean? Maybe they just want to sell a few more shirts this way. Who knows if that's what's happening? But let me bring up this one, and it's a tweet by some random Noni. I just put in the Twitter search bar Chelsea like all kits or whatever, because I wanted a picture where you can see all of them so we can like look at all of them. But this guy, and I found it quite funny because it's in a way true. Chelsea have released their home, away, and 3rd kits, and they're all blue. I mean, obviously this is not blue, but it's called Eton Blue, so it's kind of funny. You even said it kind of looks blue, kind of grey.
It's such a weird color.
No, exactly. But in a way, I also kind of rate it. Like, obviously, they all still look very different, and you can use them against different opponents with their different color schemes. So in a way, it's kind of banging that we somehow managed to have 3 kits which are all kind of blue. So I kind of rate it. But
I don't know how much we're actually going to wear the away kit, purely because like if you go to teams like
it's just
Brighton,
the same, man.
if you go
It's
to
just
teams like Brighton away, for example, right?
Yeah.
Can we really wear? Obviously, we're not going to wear our blue home kit, but can we wear that at Brighton away?
I mean, more than this one.
Because
Because this one is just so light, it will break with their, like, it will clash with their white.
Well, exactly.
I think it will have to be this one. I do think this one, obviously, you're wearing it right now. I think depending on the light, like the way you're wearing it now, it looks a lot more black than on this picture here. So I think depending on the lighting, you can't really tell the blue little stripes as well.
Yeah, it is like, I don't know if it's a black or a dark blue or whatever, but yeah, it's definitely kind of black. And the blue stuff is all it's just the lines and shit on it. But
yeah, and that only stands out a lot more on pictures, I think, than it does in reality. But then again, I haven't seen it in reality, I will say. But yeah, there you go. Jamie, I'll start with you. Bit random, but hey, let's give ratings out of 10 for all 3 of the kits. Start with you know what? It's in reverse order. Start with the away with the 3rd kit. What out of 10 would you give this 3rd kit? And I know you haven't seen it in person. We haven't even seen it played yet. But hey, do you know what I mean? We're not going to talk
give
about
this one a
your
6. A 6.
6 out of 10, yeah. Fair play.
Yeah,
Fair play,
6.
Charlie. Any more to answer?
Mate, do you know what? It's one of them guys that I thought, when I saw the pictures this morning, I thought it wasn't amazing. When you see it in person, it looks much, much better. I'd probably give this an 8.
Very nice. Pys, what about you? You said earlier you're a bit unsure still?
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest, yet.
Fair play. No, fair enough. I think I'm probably going to agree with Charlie's age. I mean, yeah, I think I really like it. Honestly, I think Jamie is who said it in terms of I like simple kits. Now, that doesn't mean I don't like colorful kits. I just don't like it when they overdo it with like patterns and stuff. Like I've said this many times on all sorts of places on YouTube. I despise that kit that we had on the Lampard in Lampard's first season where we had like the weird like Stamford Bridge was like the inspiration for it. We had like these weird patterns on it that didn't look like anything. And I was like, what is this? I hate it. And then was it last season? No, 2 seasons ago when we had like the half snakeskin, half chessboard. It was dreadful, absolutely dreadful. So for me, just keep it simple, a nice color, the badge looking good. I like it. Obviously, the sponsor can still change things, but I like it. Let's get to that away kit then. Pys, I'll go around with you on that one. You've seen that one. I think you've made your mind up on that one. What do you think about this one out of 10?
This is like an 8 for me. Yeah, I really like it. I really like the blue on the collar as well, like how it's sort of, yeah, it's a different shade. I like the patterns on it as well. It looks kind of cool.
I hear you. Fair play. Fair play. Charlie, 8 from Pys for this one. You gave the 3rd kid an 8. But you ranked the 3rd kid 3rd anyway. So what are you giving this one?
Mate, I'll give this one a 9. I think it's one of the best kits you've had in a long time.
Very nice.
Like,
I mean, you're wearing it now, so
yeah, mate, I'm a fan of it. I'm a fan of it.
I like it. No, fair play. Jamie, do you agree with the boys to rate it this highly, or are you in different opinion?
An 8. You remember the like F50s, the football boots? Did any of you guys have those? It was like this kind of color scheme and pattern, kind of.
Yeah.
Or there was like a version of it
that stand out to me. I like the yellow one. You know, the bright yellow one, the 50s? Those are the ones that I remember most. But anyway, go on.
I remember there was one that was blue and black that was very similar to this. But yeah, this one's sick. The silver badge is pretty cool. I feel like I've seen people in the home kit and the collar looks like kind of really tight. And I don't know, it doesn't look as cool as this one. I hate it when the color just looks like it's kind of like cut off, you know?
Yeah, no, I hear that as well. I think colors do make a big difference. Absolutely. I mean, Charlie, you have the home and the away kit. How is the color on both?
Mate, show me the picture quickly of the home kit so I can remember what the collar looks like. Yeah, the away kit and the 3rd kit have got these like kind of, I guess, rounded collars that they're like the material's different.
Yeah.
The home shirt, it's almost like they couldn't be bothered to do a collar.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It looks like it's just been cut off with like scissors around the neck, you know, and some like no collar.
Yeah, I hear that. I hear that. Charlie, is there, because Jamie just said that the badge is silver. Is it silver or is it white? Because I thought it was white.
Nah, mate, it's white. It's like got a gold thing
is it?
round the outside. Then it's white, and then some sort of dark color, and then the thing it is white. Yeah, unless I'm colorblind, it's pretty certain it's white.
No, fair
my
play. I mean,
bad.
hey, you might. Hey, no worries, Jamie, at all. But yeah, another. Did you say 8 as well? Yeah, Jamie, for this one.
Yeah, I'll give this an 8.
No, I don't know. Like this picture of Colwell here is a really nice picture of it. I don't like it as much in every picture, if that makes sense. I would overall probably give it a 7. Yeah, probably. Like as I just said, I'm not the biggest fan of like sweet patterns on shirts, but this pattern is all right. I just feel like if when you look at them, this is kind of a pretty dark blue, and then when there is so much blue on the awake, I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, I still like it.
You could have thought that would have been maybe that would have been better as a third kit, and then have this third kit that's come out today as the away kit. Maybe that would have been better.
Maybe I wouldn't even disagree with that. No, very much possible. Let's get to the home kit then. Now, this is maybe not the very best picture of it in terms of because the badge looks very almost like the same color as the shirt. Initially, I absolutely despised the badge. Now, I still haven't ordered mine or haven't got mine, so I can't tell you how it looks in person. But I still hate the fact that it's plastic. I'm like, we are Chelsea Football Club. We are not some cheap thing. Don't give me a plastic badge. I hate it. But the fact that it looks different in different color, in different lightings, is kind of cool. Like, I like that. Like, even when you Google pictures or when you go on Twitter and you see different pictures of the home kit, every picture you're going to see, sometimes the badge looks a bit gold, sometimes it looks like here almost like blue, sometimes it looks a tad green, sometimes pink. I like it. I really like that. It's kind of like, it almost makes the kit look a little different depending on, well, floodlights, cloudy, sunny day. You know, I like that. I really like that. And, you know, as kind of we've all been in agreement for already, our best home kit in a hot minute. Now, again, let's see how it looks when the sponsor is on it. But as of now, I don't really have much to complain about it, except that the badge is plastic, which is why I'm not going to give it a 10. I'm going to give it a 9. But everything else about it, I love. Now, the collar is maybe a fair point. I haven't worn it yet, so maybe that would, you know, change my mind in terms of what Jamie's on about. But in terms of how it looks, I think it's absolutely brilliant. All vapor knit are plastic, better than stitch. What?
As in the match shirts, basically, the badges are all plastic.
Really?
Yeah.
Also last season?
I don't know about I don't know last season, but
because that's what I think he means, like every season. If you're right, then first of all, I'm baffled. Second of all, it doesn't look like that. So
do you know what? But do you know what? I was the same as you. Like in the group chat, that we were hating the badge when it was first coming out. Having bought it and worn it, and now seen it quite a lot in the stadium and stuff, it's actually not as shit as from my perspective anyway. I don't know what you boys think, but it's actually not as shit as I initially thought it was. I actually quite like it. Like I think the badge is actually quite decent. As you said, the fact that it reflects and it's different colours, sort of almost depending on how you catch it in the light, it's not as shit as I was expecting it to be. I thought, oh, yeah, plastic badge, shit. But actually, when you see it and you wear it, it's actually quite good.
Yeah, no, fair play. Still, in terms of the feel, you know, when you wear the shirt, and again, I haven't worn it yet, but like our 2013 one that had a plastic badge, and I don't know, it just always felt cheap to me. So I get what Colby's saying. All match shirts are plastic. The materials are recycled plastics. I get that. But in terms of pure, just, you know, almost like printed 3D printed vibes, like in one, that's a bit weird. I think. But yeah, Charlie, is it a 10 out of 10 for you, the home one?
Or I'll probably give it a 9.5, just because I would have preferred the collar, like on the away and the third kits, to be like a different material, just have or just be a bit more of a collar. It just feels.
Would you have done a what? You know how like we have the white kind of sleeve, like
I think right.
They could have
I know what you're going to say. I think right. Yeah, you see how on like the sleeves on like the away and the third kit. I think we could have done like this white and gold trim thing that's on the
Around
sleeve.
the neck.
We could have had that as a collar, like on the away and the third kits. I think we could have done something like that, and it would have looked better.
Yeah, fair play. I hear that. Jamie, what about you? Home kit? I mean, you said about the collar, but otherwise, do you like it?
Yeah, it's pretty sick. I'd say just slightly better. Maybe go like 8.59 for this one above the away kit. I just think it will look so much worse with a sponsor. I can't get over. I'm gonna have to buy it soon, you know.
Yeah. No, same. Like, I mean, I don't mind. Like, obviously, we've seen that kind of the glimpses of that Sky photo shoot where we already had the Infinite Athlete prepared when we thought it would go through quicker. I don't think it looks bad, but I agree it's not going to look as good anymore. Pies, though, home kit. You said it's the best home kit we've had in a while. Out of 10, what would you give it? 9, 9.5? Would you even go for a 10? What do you reckon?
It would be a 10 if badge wasn't so bad, because I disagree with you guys. I still dislike it. I've seen it in the stadium.
Not
Charlie,
rating
you
it,
knew.
mate. Not
Yeah,
rating it.
I don't like it. I don't like how it's plastic, and I don't like how it glows either. I just personally.
Do you like the tick?
I'm less bothered about the tick. It's more the badge for me. Like, I like the badge, how it's, just non-plastic, and like how it is on your shirt. I think it looks nicer when it's printed like that, personally. But yeah, I really love the white bit under like the armpit. I think that is really cool. And it definitely stands out on the pitch as well. Like, I think they've done well with, where they've put the white bits and stuff like that. And it's just really clean overall. Like, there's no stupid patterns. It's not like a washed up blue like we had. I tell you, my most hated kit was the home kit under Conte in this. Was it his terrible season? The one where
Was that
2018, I think.
Was it Yokohama
2018, bro. I don't know if you can get a picture, but I absolutely despise that kit. Honestly, this is
What did the kit look like?
the home kit, the blue one.
Yeah,
bro. Like, look at that blue, and then look at this blue. Like, honestly,
but was the kit just plain blue? Or was there anything on it?
No, it was plain blue, right? But the blue was different than this blue. Like, it was weird. It was like a washed up.
I know which kit you mean. Then it's weird because I actually like that kit.
Which one? I can't remember which one this was.
What season was it? That would have been then 17, 18, right?
18. 17, 18.
That kit was very simple. I'm very aware, but I had that. I have that kit signed by the squad. I'm not sharing the right screen. Sorry.
Oh yeah,
that's the only reason why you like it.
Yeah, no, but I did like it before. I don't know, like I just like a simple kit. Do you know what I mean?
It's not.
I like the blue.
No, it did. I swear, honestly, it didn't look like that though. Like, I just feel like it was more like washed in. When you
I'll
see
be honest though, like I get your point though, mate. Like, if that was sponsorless, like the current one, that would look so shit.
Yeah, I agree with that because it's almost
look at the
too
badge
basic.
there. The badge there is
without a
so
sponsor would be too boring.
Yeah,
the badge there is so much better though. Like, I don't know why they have to do this glowy, plasticky nonsense.
Yeah, you see, I still agree with that in general, Pies. That's why I haven't given it higher than a 9. It's just, I'm like, okay, if you're going to make a plastic, at least I like that it glows. Fair enough if you don't, obviously. But compared to like the 12-13 kit, but that was gold. It was so good otherwise. But the plastic badge was just shit. But that didn't even have anything good about it. I'm like, at least this one has, glows in different colors, in different kind of like, shades. So that at least makes the plastic have a little bit of an effect where I'm like, it's not just plastic for nothing. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm like, okay, it's not as bad, but I still agree. But in terms of overall rating, Pies, how much does the badge take away for you?
I'd go with a 9.5. I think the collar's all right. Like, I think it's kind of, I almost like how you don't notice it. Like, it's just pure blue and it's sort of, like I just like how there's like no real details on it. Like, sometimes I like a really sort of pattern kit and stuff, but I like simple kits as well. And just the white sort of like, I don't even know what shape it is, but just kind of like stripe, I guess, down the side.
Mate,
near the
just
armpit,
quickly
like,
talking of patterns, right? What did you make of the home kit? I think in the Tuchel season, that was like 3/4 one pattern and then like a third the other pattern. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely hated it.
See, I hated that, and then is that the one with the yellow stripe down?
Yeah, the one that's behind me. If I move
Yeah,
out of the
see,
way.
I really hated that, and then I started really loving it towards like the middle of the season. I don't know why.
It's just because you love Tuchel, and that was the kit.
To be fair, do you know
Well,
what,
we actually won trophies in that.
yeah,
kit,
that's
so,
the only reason. That's the only reason I bought it is because we won the Champions League in it or whatever. Oh, we didn't win the Champions League in it at all, but we just won stuff in it, so that's why I bought it. But it grew on me a little bit when it first came. I was like, that's absolutely shocking.
I don't remember this one.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, it swings roundabouts. But yeah, I feel like it's enough kid talk. Shall we get into talking about? Well, actually, let me bring this up. The Trevor Chalobah situation. And I know this is from a couple of days ago. Actually, well, this is from yesterday. I find this a very weird situation. It came from Bobby Vincent from Football London, isn't it, Pys? Said that Trevor Chalobah has been told he might not play for Chelsea again after rejecting a move to Nottingham Forest. Chelsea looking to sell in January. Chalobah is facing Chelsea exile after refusing a move away, even if other reports have since said that's not necessarily the case, that he won't play. Like I said, might not play again. Pys, I'll start with you on this. What do you make of this? Because on the one hand, I'm like, I understand, okay, because we bought Disasi, he's kind of surplus to requirement, but I still personally don't think it's the right treatment of a player. Like, we gave him a new contract a year ago, and now we're treating him like this. It just seems like, now I understand we didn't have the directors that we had at the time, but it just makes the whole ownership look so silly to me. The fact that you give him a big contract last year, and now we're sat here like this. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I suppose new contracts don't necessarily mean, in some cases that they rate the player. It might just be sort of get his price up a bit. But yeah, I mean, this is like it's weird because like I don't see how he's going to play with like the amount of centre backs we got, especially Badiashile coming back and the fact we play one game a week. But if it's like intervention from the top, okay, Poch, no, you're not playing him because he refused to move away, then that's just ridiculous. Like, you can't just expect players to move wherever you agree fees for. You know what I mean? Like, just because you agreed a fee with Forest doesn't mean the player has to go there. Like, that's just ridiculous. So, yeah, I hope it's not that case where like the intervention is going to come from the top, the ownership, then down to the directors, then down to the manager saying, like you can't play Chalobah now because we don't like what he did. That's part and parcel of football. Not like happened with Gallagher. We accepted a bid from Everton, didn't want to go. Like, is
Same
what it
with
is.
Maatsen and Burnley as well. He didn't want to go.
Like and there's even been some talk about like Maatsen being left out of the squad because you just because you didn't make profit on them, like you think, oh, we're going to punish them now. Like, that's so controlling and like, yeah, that's really weird. I hope it's not that case, but it happens. It happens at clubs, and I still think it happens here. I still do think the managers get controlled in some senses, and I think that's why we didn't end up. A big reason why we don't have a Nagelsmann or an Enrique or someone else right now is because I just feel like they'd want to do the things their own way and not be as cooperative as Poch or Ange or even Company was going to get Company. Like, I always look to the managers we've employed under this ownership, like Potter, like Poch, like all worked, very closely. Okay, Poch got annoyed at the end after several years with Levy, but it's not like, I don't know, like they seem to go for managers that I don't think will be like, no, like you're not doing that sort of thing. Like, I feel like it's, the sort of angle I'm getting at. Like, I don't really like it. Like, I feel like they want to be in control still, and I just hate that. Like, the manager should be in control, and you should back whatever the manager wants to do. It doesn't matter what you want to do.
But do you feel like Poch wants to play Chalobah, or how am I saying?
I don't know. I don't think he's a yes or a no really. I feel like obviously he likes Disasi. He's played him a lot. But I feel like Poch would give Chalobah a chance if if Disasi was still playing bad, or Badiashile or Silva or whoever else got an injury. But there actually could be a legitimate sort of like that is happening from the top. Like, you can't play Chalobah. I can 100% see that with these types of managers they're going for. I'm not saying Poch doesn't. I'm not saying Poch is a yes man, but what I am saying is I think he's far more likely to be like, okay, yeah, like this is just part of the project. This is the decision for the project, rather than like challenge it and be like, no, like why would we do that sort of thing, you know?
But what I would say though, like he hardly featured in pre-season either. I know he played a little bit, but he didn't really play that much in pre-season. But I'm gonna say now that whether you want to call it exiled or frozen out or whatever you want to call it, I don't think Chalobah is going to play for Chelsea again. I'll be straight up. Even if everyone's fit, right, he doesn't get in the team. And that's not because he's crap, because I actually rate him and think he's a decent player. It's because, unfortunately, everyone else is better than him. And that's just the reality of the situation. I'm not saying Disasi right now, but what I mean is Silva's better than him, Colwell's better than him, and Badiashile's better than him. Right? Those three are definitely better than him. Fofana, when he's actually fit and can play football again, is better than him. So right now, and then Disasi, you kind of like a bit of a toss-up right now. I haven't really seen a big enough sample size to give an accurate.
But also he's a new signing, so and he's a new signing. Even if we think Chalobah is better, he's not going to be playing above Disasi.
So if everyone's fit, right, Chalobah is fifth choice centre back at best. I just don't see how he plays again unless we have an injury crisis at the back. I just don't see where he gets in the team. Like, where's he going to play? And this is a problem. This is a problem we've made for ourselves, by the way, because did we need to go and? I'm not hating on Disasi, and when you see people hating on Disasi for this Chalobah situation, it's nothing to do with him. So these are both Chelsea players. Let's both support them. But at the same time, we've only got ourselves to blame here because we've created a problem that didn't need to be created. We didn't need to go and sign another centre back. We didn't need one.
Well, but in the way that it kind of does include Disasi, and it's still not his fault, exactly like you said, Charlie. But in a way, it's still to do with Disasi in the sense of, I agree with you. We didn't have to buy a new centre back, but if we then decide to buy a new centre back, then they actually need to be better than Chalobah. And I don't think that Disasi is better than Chalobah. I don't think he's necessarily worse than Chalobah, but I don't think he's better.
No.
You know, so if you're going to buy one that's better, especially because Disasi is 2 years or a year older than
Chalobah. He's 25, isn't he? I think he's 25.
Yeah, exactly. And is Chalobah 24, 23? I don't know.
Chalobah's 24, yeah.
See, so it's only a year, but still, he's even older. So, even in terms of development, you're Disasi has less development, arguably less to do in terms of at least age-wise than Chalobah does. So it's just a mess. I get what Pys is saying, but again, the planning, where is the planning? How are you giving him a 6-year contract, or what was it, 6+1 a year ago, to sign someone who's pretty much as good as him to replace him this summer? It's so stupid.
And also on that, right, a Matt Law article was saying that since Chalobah signed that contract back in last November, there's been no conversation about his playing time at all since then. If that's true, that's a madness. Surely Chalobah's not signing a new contract at Chelsea without some sort of assurances or idea that he's going to play. He's going to play a little bit of football.
No,
right now, I don't see where he plays.
I don't think it was since then. I think it was since Chelsea accepted the fee with Forest. I don't think it was since.
Fair. But yeah, either way though, for sure he's well within his rights to turn down a move. He wanted the Bayern move, it didn't happen. I'm not saying that's Chelsea's fault. Is that Bayern? So whatever reason it didn't happen, that's not necessarily Chelsea's fault at all. And he didn't want to go and play for Nottingham Forest because, quite rightly, he's at a higher level than that. He can go and play for a bigger, and he can go and play for a better football club. But we shouldn't be holding against him the fact that he didn't get a move away from Chelsea. You know, he's obviously happy to stay and fight for his place. Fine, but if we're being brutally honest, and I think we can all say we're Trevor Chalobah fans here. He's not the best player in the world, but he's certainly a very good squad player and has been dependable for Chelsea when he's been called upon. So, from my perspective, I just think the fact that Chalobah is seemingly just going to become a training player for probably until January seems just mad disrespectful. And if we want to sell him, and I think he probably will go in January, if we want to try and sell him, surely he needs to at least be playing some football. Otherwise, that £25 million bid that we got in the summer, next summer or in January or whatever, we're going to get nowhere near that money because you're going to have an asset that has played next to no football.
Especially when, obviously this isn't a club report, but still, when it essentially comes out that the club is yeah, we don't want you anymore, just go. That, like you said, automatically lowers the value. And it's just, I don't know. There's a lot of things that these owners or directors, whoever you want to put in the spotlight, do that just makes so little sense to me. It's just baffling. I mean, Jamie, where do you stand on this? And my argument isn't even that Chalobah is so great that he must be here and that he cannot be sold, and that's not even my point. The point is just don't give it's not just about academy players, but for academy players, in my opinion, that applies even more so. I'm like, why would you give him a new contract last year? Only because they wanted to sell him for big money, probably. Because they somehow imagine in their mind they're going to get 50 million for him, but they don't even want to use him. So clearly you don't value him at 50 million. So why on earth do you think you're going to sell him for 50 million to anybody? Obviously, we agreed or accepted that Forest offer for 25 plus a few add-ons in total to nearly 30. But I mean, where do you stand on all this, Jamie? In terms of
I don't know. I find it in this article just kind of hard to believe. I just doubt they would say something like that to one of their players when they know the market's open in January. Like, I think maybe they've told him, look, we've just signed another defender for big money. You're probably fifth choice right now, and it's going to be a struggle for you to maybe even make the bench because we already have two center backs. Probably one of them are going to miss out anyway, so he's going to miss out being even in the bench or in the squad altogether for most games. So maybe start looking for other opportunities if you're okay with that. Like, that seems like something more reasonable they would say. I really doubt a club would just say to a player, like, when it's not even January yet, that, yeah, you're not playing again. Like, doesn't make much sense to me.
I hear that. I mean, to some extent, I think it's probably like, when you see reports like this, exactly like you said, is what I assume he has been told. And then obviously the kind of report kind of fills in terms of what that means. Because if you are fifth choice and you're not going to make the bench very often, then clearly, and the club accepted an offer for you for 25 million by Nottingham Forest, close to deadline, then all of those things are proof that Chelsea are looking to sell. Because we look to sell now, will look to sell again because he's not going to play. So why would we want him to be here, I guess? But yeah, I just don't think it's the right way to go about it. It's the same with like Maatsen, at least the difference with Maatsen is that he hasn't signed a new contract yet. And he seems to be an undecided information about whether he has 1 or 2 years left in his contract, or is it 1 plus an option of another one, whatever it may be. But even still, and in a way also a bit Gallagher, I just think they claim that they want to go, want to create such a real path for the academy. And I'm like, you've sold half of the good academy players. The other ones that have already made it to the first team, you're getting rid of all of them except Reece James and Colwell, who, yes, came through the academy, but wasn't actually in the first team until they put him through. So, I just find it strange.
But is the answer to this though? Sorry, mate. Like, we're going to be having a similar situation with Cucurella and Ian Maatsen. I understand Maatsen a little bit more because right now this guy's out of contract at the end of this season, hasn't signed up. So if we want to get any money for him, we're going to have to sell him in January, or we're going to have to hope that we can convince him to sign. And I mean, right now is Chelsea. Is that have we got enough to convince Maatsen to sign? Has he got a long-term future here? I mean, you can be a very good player, but not necessarily be good enough for Chelsea. Like Man City, their academy is fantastic. Lavia wasn't good enough for the first team, but he's a good enough player. Cole Palmer, perhaps not good enough to have a solid future there. So, like, for me, the Maatsen one, is it right? Is he going to sign a new deal? I don't know. But if you're looking to get money for someone like Cucurella, for example, if those reports are to be believed, or those rumours, or whatever you want to call them, that he's going to start being left out of match day squads for the upcoming for the next few fixtures or whatever, we want to sell him, whether it's a loan in January, whether it's permanently next summer. If he's played next to no football this season, if we thought the value of offers we were getting this summer was poor, it's going to be even worse next season. Surely, like, whether you like a player or not, Cucurella has got a role to play in this squad. And surely we want to play him a little bit just to preserve and keep some of that value. Surely the answer to, trying to get rid of players is not to just freeze them out, because then they're going to get next to no money for them.
I think we really screwed up not loaning Cucurella out. I think that was just a big mess up by the board on that one.
Well, apparently, I'm not sure who reported it. Pies will know that much better to know in terms of quite how reliable it is. But I swear I read that we tried to loan him to multiple clubs, to Atletico, to Real Sociedad, even to obviously Man United by the end, which then Cucurella agreed to. But all the other ones, apparently Cucurella rejected because Cucurella wanted to stay. And yeah, you can say, oh, it's bad on the club that we didn't achieve so. But, well, when you sign a player, you give them a contract. Fair enough.
That's on you. But also, by the way, mate, on that United deal, I think we touched on it on a stream before, but why would we accept a deal for Cucurella to just get him sent back in January? What's the point in that?
Exactly. Well, that's why we didn't accept it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, why would we have accepted that? So, like, I can understand why we didn't take that one, because it doesn't help us in any way at all.
Weren't they gonna pay like a loan fee though, like 2 to 3 mil? Like, could be worth it, and no wages being paid.
Not for 6 months though. It's not, in my opinion, because you just got the same problem again in January.
I mean, if he's not going to play at all for 6 months,
played him in the Carabao
Cup, he played in the Cup as well. He can't play for 3 in a season.
Exactly. So that meant if United sent him back, we would be guaranteed to have him for the rest of the season. Now, you could argue now we are guaranteed to have him at least until January. But maybe in January we find someone to sign him either permanently or on a longer loan. Who knows, right?
But do you think we should be giving up on him though? Like, look, I know he's not been that great, right, since he signed for the club. I know you hate him, mate, but like, do you think though, like, literally, do you not think he deserves a little bit of a chance this season just to sort of show what he can do?
No, I do, but if Poch isn't going to, if Poch doesn't want to use him, then it's pointless. So then we might as well give up.
The only way we should play him is in this stupid system we're doing now, and once we move from that, then no, 100% no.
I do love the confidence that you have in us moving away from the system. I wish I could be as confident.
Bro, I honestly, it's coping more than anything, because I can just see him sticking to it for some reason, even though we're not even winning.
Watch Cucurella start more than Chilwell as the season goes on.
but like, I don't even think, like, people say, oh, we've got 3 left backs. I don't even think Poch thinks Maatsen's a left back.
No, he does. I know this for a fact. Well, I know for a fact that there is certain squad politics going on. For sure.
But why is he not?
What are the squad politics? Because he hasn't used Cucurella, so you can't like say, oh, he's using Cucurella over Maatsen because he hasn't used Cucurella.
The whole thing is in pre-season, like, I don't know, I can't say too much, but yeah, like I can't say too much, but pre-season Maatsen, I don't think he was ever going to be used as a left back. That's all I'll say on that.
Yeah, but he's using Chilwell as a left back. So why would you not use Maatsen then?
Yeah, well, I don't think, again, the plan was for Nkunku to get injured and then change the whole system. So,
but no, I yeah, for sure. But like, sure. So are we saying that surely the reason Chilwell's playing left back is not because Nkunku's injured?
Well,
I mean,
it's still 3 centre backs though, like, isn't it? It's still there is still a lot of it's still time where there is 3 centre backs. So if you put Maatsen there, I don't think, like, I don't know, like, I just couldn't see that happening in this system personally.
No, I agree with you on that, Pies. But
like, like, when we're building up,
because of Nkunku, because I wouldn't be surprised even if Chilwell doesn't play left wing. I don't necessarily expect Chilwell to automatically play left back then. No, because he's vice captain and Reece is injured, fair enough. But in terms of in general, I don't think us playing a winger instead of Chilwell will automatically mean Chilwell plays left back then. I still think that could have Cole at left back. Do you know what I
mean? I don't think Cole will be a left back option if we go to a back 4.
Well, we are playing a back 4 though.
But we're not, though, are we? Like,
yeah, it's not.
Well, technically it is. We're just playing players out of position.
I mean, some of the game it is, but a lot of the game it isn't. We don't line up in a back 4, do we? We line up in a back 3. Like, it's not a 4 what we line up in.
We defend in the back 4, but we build up in a 3, and because Chilwell doesn't overlap and go forward,
all you have to really do is look at the touches and passing numbers comparing Disasi and Chilwell, and there's your proof that Chilwell is not a left centre back like Disasi is a right centre back, because Disasi has more than double the touches and passes in every game than Levi Chilwell. So if you need, and Chilwell is better on the ball of the two of them. So like if they were playing essentially the mirrored position, one right centre back, one left centre back, then they would have similar amounts of touches, but they don't. They have
to be fair,
drastically
whose
different
goal
ones,
was supposed
which
to
is,
pass it
in
when
my opinion, where
Chilwell's
the proof
up?
is that Cobble isn't just playing as a centre back.
He's a
I
bit
don't know.
further forward, but like
Chilwell was never like his guys playing like up front. Like he's never open. Like there's no chemistry there. Like doesn't drop deep. Like he's not left wing back.
Yeah, but that's a different issue or debate in terms of is Cobble good as a left back and is whoever is the left wing in front of him useful.
But that's what I'm saying. Like I think that's why Disasi has like way more passes because
because the right side's more dangerous
right now. Like look at our heat maps. It's literally all down the right hand side. It's so shit.
Yeah.
I hear that, but if you go to last season, we also attacked way more down the right than we did down the left, but still the left centre back had a lot more touches than Cobble is having now. Like Disasi is having 100 a game and Cobble doesn't even get over 40. Like it's a drastic difference. Not just like 80 against 100 or 80 against 60. We're talking 40 against 100. That's a very different in terms of how involved you are, right? It's like, it's clearly not an out-and-out left back, but I don't think anyone can tell me it's an out-and-out centre back either. Also an out-and-out back three centre back. But I think enough about Chalobah. It's an unfortunate situation. At the end of the day, we can't change it. I don't like it, but what can I do? I want to let's have our chat about Mykhailo Mudryk now. I'm going to bring up a tweet from Pys's private or personal account, whatever you want to call it. That I'm essentially just bringing up because I think he worded it in, quite concisely, quite well. In terms of, I don't understand how fans can be asking questions like, how much patience do you have left? Mudryk has only played one whole 90 minutes for us. His total minutes goes to less than 8 or just 8 total games.
Bro, look at the graph I tweeted. It's even like that just gives you the most context. Like this, I think there's a tweet
Why
before
did you
this.
tweet that graph?
The tweet before this one. So just scroll down. It'll be like 2 seconds. I don't tweet much on there, but
but also on this account,
yeah, separate tweet. So if you just scroll down, you should be that one. Like, look at that. How are you judging him on this? Like, it's like look at how flittery his minutes are. It's ridiculous. Like, how many over 80 minutes there? Like, what? 1, 2, 2? Can I see 2 over 80 minutes? Something like that?
Only 2 times.
Leicester
like,
and
come
Brighton.
on. It's outrageous. It's so bad. Like, what the hell?
It's a weird one. But then you can obviously, the only other question you have at the same time is, what are the reasons for him not getting more minutes? Like, is he doing something wrong that he should be doing better to get more minutes? Right, like in terms of us as fans, I 1000% agree with you. How can we judge him with these number of minutes? But the managers, and it's been 3 now, they see him more than what we see him. And none of them have decided he's starting regularly. Now, we've also learned that he's had a few injury problems throughout the summer. He was struggling to stay fit, even throughout preseason, like be 100% fit. And obviously now he's had a small issue, and then he come back, but wasn't fit enough. And then he got a bad tackle against England and didn't start in Ukraine's second game in this international break either now. So you're like, it's a really difficult debate because Mudryk is young still, but he's 22. Like,
yeah, but look how many senior games he's played in his career, mate. He's played like less.
No, but that's the problem in and of itself, isn't it? Like, why are we in a situation where he's 22 and he hasn't even played 100 senior games? Like, that's kind of the problem in a way. Because I think his age, 22 is young, but still people expect a certain amount from 22-year-olds, especially when they were bought for quite a lot of money, even though I think everyone makes very good points in terms of he didn't cost 100 million euros. He didn't cost 88 million pounds. He cost 62 million pounds. That's what he cost. And there are add-ons, but those add-ons will be activated if we win the Premier League, if we win the Champions League.
Yeah, so it's a good deal then if we pay that money. So, like, it's gone. If we end up paying that money,
exactly.
It's gone well.
Just the 62 base fee so far isn't a good deal yet. Let's be honest now.
No, but like, I don't really know what people expect though, mate. Like when we're signing so many young players, right? What number one thing that young players are is inconsistent. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to have aspects of their game that need refining, and yet large majorities of this fan base get on young players' backs for not performing consistently. It's like that is the very definition of a young player. You're going to be in and out of form. And I just think with Mudryk, before we can actually make for me personally, before we can make a a genuine sort of conclusion or like opinion on him, this guy needs to run a games. This guy needs to play football. He needs to be allowed to make mistakes and know that if he makes a mistake, he's not going to be the first one subbed off. He needs to know that when it gets to an hour and there's subs coming on, it's not going to be his number coming off. We need to create an environment for him where he needs a bit of an arm around the shoulder. He needs a bit of love and care. He needs some trust from the manager. He needs his confidence improvement. I don't think these niggling injuries have helped. He doesn't look fully fit. He looks really low on confidence. Obviously, the human side of things as well, which not many people take into account, like about what's going on back in the Ukraine. That's got to be playing on your mind for sure. And yes, the money's great. You're playing for Chelsea, great, but that doesn't take away the fact that your country you've grown up in and you love is being decimated. That's not gonna help you. Mate, we must know it. When you go to work and you're taking like personal problems into work, your performance at work is a bit shit, or you're not quite with it the whole time. So why is it any different because you're in the public eye? It should, like, do you know what I mean? We're judging someone who has not had a fair crack yet. Has got a lot going on. He's had a lot of change in his life in a very short space of time. He's not played a lot of senior football. He's got all the tools to be a top player, and he just needs to be given the chance and the trust and the understanding from the fans that it's going to take a little bit of time. But I'm so convinced that this guy will be good for us. We've just got to stop getting on our own players back. Why do we always tear players down that play for our club? Why do we constantly do this? What are we hoping is going to come from this? By all means, say, he's not played that well. Fine. But why do we always have to go that extra step to make this some sort of agenda or whatever? It doesn't help that, the price is constantly misquoted. Everywhere in the media, it's 100 million. No, it's not 100 million. That doesn't help either. I just think, do you know what also I think in a mad sort of way, almost the worst thing to happen for Mudryk so far was to be so good on his debut at Anfield, because then everyone expected that, like every game. If he'd had a bit more of a low-key debut, maybe there still would have been some criticism, but I just think that got everyone so hyped, that debut at Anfield, that actually it's probably gone against him in some ways.
Yeah, I agree. It's a difficult one because all of the things you've said, I completely agree with, right? The only thing I would then say is the mistake was signing him. Like, he might still come good, but, well, we knew that the war was going on, so you could have thought that might affect him when you buy him, right?
Do you reckon though, mate? Sorry, mate. Do you reckon if he'd signed for Arsenal, do you think he would have done better?
I don't know. I'd probably say yes a bit, but I don't know how much better. But still, like, if we're saying how it's affecting his family, like, in terms of just the fact that his country is in war, being attacked, maybe he feels a sense of guilt because obviously he's in the kind of age where you would expect him to be in the army, but he's not. He's out here playing football, and he's not even actually doing that. He's out here training. He's not even getting to play football. So he's arguably, because of that, maybe feeling even more guilt for not actually, in a way, helping his country, right? But we knew that when we signed him. We also knew that he had barely over 50 professional games when we signed him. So you're like, if we're saying that's the reason why he's struggling, then you're like, well, why did you sign him then? That's the only thing I'll say is because now once we say, okay, well, you have signed him, then I completely agree with every word that Charlie said. And arguably, maybe I believe it even more, because I'm like, you see that he clearly has certain things about him. Yeah, the touch is sometimes off, but he also has great touches. You can see by his shooting technique that the man knows how to hit the football. We've seen him play absolutely outrageous through balls. So that tells you he's outrageously fast, good technically, can shoot, and can pass. You can't even want more from a player.
But do you know what doesn't help him either, mate? Is when he comes on for these poverty minutes, 10, 15 minutes at the end of a game, we're either chasing the game. He comes on when we're desperate to break down a low block. He comes down when comes on when basically the game's gone. And the opposition are just sitting all their players behind the ball. So even when he comes on in games, the game is not set up in an ideal situation for him to thrive. I know you can't obviously tailor a game situation to come on and suit you, but if you're an attacking player coming on, the circumstances that he's coming on in aren't really conducive to having a decent performance. If you get what I'm saying.
No, 100%. But it's just like things like the fact that he really wanted to go to the under-21s Euros, but then he was injured for the start of that. And then instead of going home and recovering and making sure he's fully fit for pre-season, he then stays at the under-21s Euros, plays a couple of games, and then in hindsight, we find out Poch tells us he wasn't fit for part of pre-season. I'm like, these things don't really help. We've also heard that Chelsea have now told him to tone down the gym work a little bit. I'm like, but that's again back on Chelsea, where I'm like, how have you only figured that out now? Because he's been doing that ever since the start. So if you thought it was a problem, how has it taken you until August to realize that he should stop?
Well, he did it. He's doing it his whole career. He did it
exactly.
He was doing it the whole
either
time.
They took way too long to realize it's a problem, or it isn't a problem. You know.
But my biggest issue, mate, is how does Pochettino? I mean, I don't know what Mudryk's like in training. There's no suggestions that he's a bad trainer. He's got a great work ethic, I think, by all accounts. But what does Pochettino see in Mudryk that he thinks that Ben Chilwell's a better option at left wing? Like that for me, that
probably is one of the.
Well, that for me is a slight concern that you've made this investment in a really exciting young winger, and yet you're coming to the conclusion that at this point in time, it's better to play a left back in this position. That's kind of a mad one for me.
Yeah, it is. Jamie, I want to ask you, because obviously you played in academies. You didn't make it to professional football. I get that. But in terms of what you know about it, and there's probably more than I know about it and us know about it, but what value do you put on him not even having 100 senior games yet in comparison to other players his age? Like, do you think that's where the main issues come from? Like, where obviously where do you stand on the whole issue in general is what I want to ask from you as well. But I want to hear also your thoughts in terms of how much, emphasis you put on that, not having that many senior games.
I mean, you need games to improve, but games is just what gives you confidence, right? So the more you play, the more confidence you build. I don't think it's like, yes, you build up a little bit more like technical ability, but I think the main thing is just having the confidence and knowing the level of competition you're playing against. You build up this confidence against that. Like for me, when I was growing up, like I came from like kind of Asian background and played at a certain level, much below more competitive levels in Europe, and then I moved, and it's a shock because you're not used to that level of competition. So I think the main thing is but after like a year, just gained more confidence because you get used to this level, and I think Mudryk obviously just needs a lot more game time to kind of build that. But I think Poch really screwed up in that. Starting the season with Ben Chilwell after, I remember Mudryk had that game against Dortmund and he came on for Nkunku and he looked pretty sick. Like he was probably one of our best players, most dangerous outlets. But then he's probably thinking, I'm going to come in, I'm going to start against Liverpool, and Nkunku's out, and he gets dropped for a left back for the first 4 games of the season. Like I think that would completely destroy all confidence he kind of has. But I think it says more about like Poch because I think Mudryk and Madueke are really going to suffer under him because he's never really liked touchline kind of wingers. His system has always been overlapping fullbacks and wingers that can kind of play in the half spaces. At most, I think in preseason, he's kind of developed Sterling to kind of play a hybrid. So one fullback's going to have the width and Sterling can have the other width. But he's never going to have 2 touchline wingers like we see with every other team. Like if you go through all the top teams in the Premier League, they all play with wingers out wide. But I think part of the problem is Poch doesn't like to do that.
Do you think that's Poch, or do you think that's because we have Reece James? Now, I know Reece James isn't fit right now, but when you have Reece James, you kind of want to involve Reece James as much as you can. Do you think that's part of the problem, or do you think it stems from a Poch issue?
I think it's Poch because you can see how much of an effect, like look at Estepinian, who plays in a back 4 for Brighton, like how much he gets forward, even with Mitoma completely hugging the touchline the whole time. You build up play in this kind of inverted role, and then he kind of joins the attack, makes overlaps, options inside for Mitoma. He has like, I don't know, some crazy stats for chances created, and and goals down that left. And you don't have to have your fullbacks in the traditional like back five to get them involved. I think that's ridiculous. Like even Walker, he starts off building up play in a back three, and then how many times do you see him creating overloads? And same with Ben White at Arsenal, how many overloads they create. And then you see us, and it's Chilwell, who will obviously not get forward because he's not that kind of profile. So, like, compared to all these other teams, we literally are essentially attacking with like one less player compared to all the other top teams, which is like crazy if you think about it.
Yeah, that's exactly my issue. But when I take that back to Mudryk, where do you stand on him? Like, are you like some people are like us, like we've agreed on so far in terms of he's not really played enough to really be fully judged? Or do you make more of the fact that he hasn't played more is how we judge him? You know, someone in the chat said you can say that same thing about Baba Rahman. Baba Rahman never got a chance. Are we going to say he's a good player and he needs to just get more minutes? Obviously, it's a bad comparison. I don't agree with the comment, but someone made that comment, and I'm like, well, I get where they're coming from at least. So, where do you stand on it from that perspective?
I think I rate Mudryk very, very highly. Like, you don't have that game against Liverpool you mentioned earlier, the debut. Like, you don't have games like that being a bad player. Like, every touch he made, the combinations, the running at pace inside, every decision making he made was the correct choice. Like, those 1-2s inside, taking men around the outside, like the ability he has to run at like such a fast pace, but with such close control, you don't see many players with that. And he needs like serious coaching off the ball. Like you can see his off ball movement it comes across as lazy, but like it's not. He just looks kind of clueless when he's inside, when to spin off defenders, when to like come close. Like he doesn't really have much of a clue. And I think also the confidence thing again, like when he gets to the touchline, he doesn't really have that confidence to like get into a more direct position to cross. He's kind of like crossing from weird angles. He's running down and just like immediately crossing when he really should be like attacking more dangerous spaces. But I think that just comes with game time. Like I think he hasn't been given that game time to build up that confidence, but I can see there is like crazy ability there. Especially, yeah, I can only think of like Mbappe and Leao that kind of run and that kind of pace and with that tight control. Like it's quite rare. So yeah, I think he's really great. He just needs games.
There you go. I mean, I see it the same way. It's just that's why it baffles me so much that it's 3 managers in a row. Like there's so many people that I think, you know, have a reasonable understanding of football that think this way about it. But still, we're on the 3rd manager of Chelsea Football Club now who don't. And I'm
not a manager, man. That guy's clueless at managing.
Yeah, but even it doesn't matter if you think that. You know, they've still done their coaching badges. Potter has still done what he done at Brighton. Lampard still had his good season with us. Like, yes, there may not be good enough managers for us, but they still have an understanding of football that is better than ours, in my opinion, at least. Maybe I'm giving him too much credit, I guess. But still, it's like I can't understand. But also, I just would love to ask them why, because I just cannot understand how everyone sees it. Oh, not everyone, but so many people understand that he just needs games. But our managers, the ones in control of giving him games, don't give him games.
They don't trust him. That's why they don't trust him.
But why don't they trust him?
Because he's young and he's raw.
Taking trust because he's not even played enough to not have trust. You know?
Yeah, but it's because he's raw. Like I think the treatment of him has been wrong, but I just don't see like when it comes to selecting a team, I don't think managers, the managers we've had anyway, are putting that trust in him. I don't know why. Because I can't see him being a bad trainer. I don't think he's bad off the ball. I actually think he works hard defensively. I remember a lot of runs last season, even this season, he was trucking back like hell. So you can't even say like, oh, it's the defensive side of the game, because if you actually watch him, he actually runs back loads.
Sorry, can I interrupt you quickly because Charlie needs to head off in a second, so I'm just going to ask him if he has like a last word.
I was just quickly going to say, mate, Pice, why do you reckon he gets more criticism than Madueke does? Because I don't think Madueke's performance has necessarily been any better than Mudryk's. Do you reckon it's just the price?
Price tag, yeah, price tag. If Mudryk was 30 mil, let's be honest, no one would really care. It's because he was more like it's simple.
I don't think that the transfer saga probably didn't help either.
Yeah, you know, as you said as well, that debut, because it was so good against Liverpool, it was like, well, where's that since? I mean, we've seen flashes of that, but again, we're not winning games, so just start him. Like if you've got Sterling and Madueke or Sterling and Palmer absolutely banging, okay, you can bench Mudryk and give him those.
No one's banging,
right? But when you've got no one, like nailing down a spot, okay, you could have said Sterling before Forest, whatever. Okay, maybe he still has, right? But when you've got when you're not winning games, that's where you have to try and start Mudryk. That's where you have to try and give him 3-4 games and see if he can build on it. Because I agree, I think he's a major confidence player, and I actually don't think Poch behind the scenes is as concerned as we as fans are, because he said publicly, he was saying something like, oh, he needs time or stuff like this. Yeah, we get that, but you're not gonna get that what Mudryk could be if you keep bringing him on at 67 minutes, 74 minutes. It just doesn't work like that, because he may have impact in terms of his pace, but for me, he's someone that needs to grow into a game as well. He's not an impact sub, in my opinion. So yeah, that's what I would say on it. And I want to see actions now from Poch, because I just honestly I don't see why hold him back. And again, the one major concern I have is with the owners and with the hierarchy, mainly the owners, Igbali and Boehly. Winstanley was obviously went to Ukraine as well with Igbali. I think why are they not asking questions? Why are the journalists not asking questions? Maybe they are, but it's just weird how you put that. I know it's not a huge investment, but it's still a big investment. And you're just how are you accepting this? How are you accepting that he has had so little minutes? I guess their answer will probably be, well, it's part of the long-term project. But it's just, for me, if I was that director and you're playing fucking Chilwell on the left wing instead of a player you signed for £62 million plus add-ons, and he has all that talent, what are you waiting for? It's really weird. And again, I think the weirdest thing was in the Athletic article. They said Chilwell has been trusted by Poch to make the right runs at the right time. That is absolute bullshit. Mudryk makes brilliant runs, in my opinion. In my opinion, personally, I think he always makes those runs in behind. We just never pick him out. So how is that? I don't know. I just think Poch doesn't trust him yet. And I'm just concerned, because when I see a player like this, I think it happened a lot with Pulisic as well. When I just hope we don't go that down that road where it's
and that's exactly how it feels like. It feels exactly like a Pulisic repeat, honestly.
Mate, yeah. Pulisic's balling in Milan.
Exactly. And Mudryk will ball if we let him go in 2 years. He just will. He's that type of player, bro. He's such a talent. You can't. Honestly, there's some players you look at and you think, I don't know. Mudryk, even when he has a shit game, I want to watch him the next game, because I'm excited because of the way he plays. I like his style, and it's very rare. Like you said, you get that type of Werner was quick, but he couldn't dribble. He couldn't control.
Someone in the chat said he's Werner 2.0. He couldn't away from Werner. Werner played every game and was awful. Mudryk never plays. How can you say he's Werner 2.0? Werner always played, man.
Honestly, I think Charlie said it. He needs to know, right? If he plays bad, or if he starts the game and he plays average, okay, just even average, he needs to know, you secure your place for the next game, because right now we don't actually have wingers that are okay, no, he has to come in for Mudryk. We're not in that position. So why are we acting like we are is what I'm confused at. Why is Poch acting like Mudryk has to be benched because we've got so many other amazing attackers? All of our attackers, bar Sterling, are, talents, would you say? They're young players. So it's
unproven.
It's weird. Why is he so sidelined? It's just strange.
It's so weird. Honestly, we don't know the details in terms of what always his injury issues are, which maybe could explain more than we're aware of. But at the end of the day, Charlie, as a last word before I let you go, my apologies.
That's all right, mate.
Is it just at the end of the day? Is it just play him, and once he's played, and if he still doesn't do well, fair enough, we can judge him and not use him and sell him, but. And I agree with you. Just play him, and you'll see that he's decent.
Just play the guy.
Yeah.
But do you remember a couple of seasons ago under the Tuchel, right, where everyone was calling for Callum Hudson-Odoi to play, and then through injuries, he started about 8 or 9 games on the spin, on the left or right, whatever side it was. Do you remember a few seasons back? He started 8 or 9 games on the spin, and you could see the improvement in his game just by playing regularly and knowing that he was going to start. Like, we need to do something similar with Mudryk. Like, I don't think people understand how, particularly for young players, maybe more so for Mudryk, as Pys was saying, how important confidence is. Just knowing
also,
that.
Charlie, like in pre-season, sorry, but like in pre-season,
Yeah.
Mudryk. No, actually, I think Jackson said like how him and Mudryk had like started to develop that chemistry and understanding. And then, like, in these first 4 games, have you seen Chilwell and Jackson link up once? Because I fucking
No.
haven't. So it's
No,
like
there's been nothing, mate. There's been no Chilwell Jackson link up.
confusing.
It just
It's
needs to be
like,
just needs to be trusted, basically.
we all go on about players building chemistry. We have players, 2 attackers who have literally said publicly, we're building some chemistry. And then we go into the season and do something completely different.
We haven't seen it once.
Strange, man. It's strange.
It's so weird. Charlie, I know you need to go.
Yeah.
Appreciate you very much. We're going to wrap this up soon anyway. But hey, have a good rest of your day, everybody. Check out Charlie's channel. Link is down in the description. And we'll see you soon, mate.
Cheers, lads. Nice one, boys. Catch you later.
Have a good one. Cheers. I have a comment here from, what is it? Glue Inner, who Chilwell can't do through ball. I don't think I've ever seen a more wrong comment. Like, Chilwell has literally played so many incredible over-the-top through balls to Chilwell that Chilwell hasn't been able to do anything with. If you place those identical balls to Mudryk, and Mudryk is on any half-decent form, every single time that's a goal or an assist. Because he plays such a good through ball with Mudryk's pace and Jackson's pace alongside that. You kind of played it over the top ball, and Mudryk has an easy cut back to Jackson, should be a tap-in, in theory, right? I can't understand how this comment has potentially grown in your head. I cannot understand. But I would even argue that for Mudryk, having Chilwell behind him as the left-back could arguably be exactly what he needs. Now, Chilwell doesn't push up enough, and obviously Mudryk would maybe like that inverted option while Mudryk is hugging the wing to have that passing option of like a bit higher of a left-back. But in terms of the passing behind him, Chilwell can do more than Chilwell and Chukwuemeka put together in terms of putting Mudryk into the game. At least that's how I see it. Jamie, I don't even know the question I want to ask to you, but because you've said like games is what he needs, but can you like, obviously we're purely speculating, but like Pi said, Poch doesn't seem to trust him. But what, and maybe because you've experienced that kind of more elite club culture, even if it was at an academy level, what can Mudryk do to gain trust like that? Like, what can you, while you're not getting games, while you're only training, what can you do to gain that trust?
I mean, the only way if you're not playing in games is to show a level of commitment and training that's above and beyond like the other players. And you obviously, every day in training, the coaches are going to watch you closely, like everything you do, if you're performing well. And I've seen like clips of him, and he always looks good in training from little clips. I can't see the whole thing, but yeah, if you're not playing in games, you got to, training is where you really showcase everything you do. But I just feel like the reason why he hasn't got much game time is like down to systems. Like, I think Potter was a 5 at the back kind of manager. When you play that system, your wingers kind of die because your fullbacks are the width, and you need your forwards to play more inside the pitch. And then Lampard kind of copied the same system. It was he started with 4, but then he swiftly moved to like Potter's kind of 5 at the back. So the wingers just kind of suffer under this kind of system. And I think Pochettino's kind of the same. I said like before he came here that I think Madueke and Mudryk are really going to suffer under him.
But then,
I think that's why they bought Palmer.
Did turn Heung-min Son into an absolute world beater. So,
yeah, but that's what I mean. I think there will be one winger like the Son, and then the other ones play like kind of Eriksen, Ali. Even at PSG, like he had maybe one winger that keeps width. But the others need to play inside. So I think that's already taken by Sterling, right? So I think the whole reason to get the Palmer was it's eventually going to be Nkunku, Palmer, who can both play inside the pitch, and then Sterling will play keeping the width. And I think I just don't see him giving much time to Mudryk and Madueke in terms of starts with 1 game a week, just due to system, to be honest.
Yeah, but I mean, I didn't get to watch through your whole video, but I know you made a video in terms of parts of that you don't really rate about Poch, and to some extent, I'm like, I get where you're coming from, but I'm like, but if you have Mudryk and Madueke, and it's not exactly like the system he's doing right now, especially while Nkunku is out, is working. I just think it's inexcusable if it's a system issue to not adapt the system to what you actually have. Like, it's just weird to me. It's just...
Oh yeah, that's the point. That's why I've been kind of one of Poch's biggest like haters out there right now, because I haven't seen, like, in preseason, the best game we played probably were the last 2, I would say, and everyone was gassing the earlier games. I thought we were kind of shit early, but against Fulham and then against Dortmund, especially when Nkunku came off and Mudryk came on, and we had that width and we had that like explosiveness, like in counters and just being direct with Chilwell, like providing an extra number, and you could just see like how many more chances we created that were a little bit more clear cut. And that's why I think it's just a bit like very strange that he's changed the whole system for 1 injury. I honestly can't explain it, because I've like looked at the stats, like even defensively, like Chilwell, I was thinking like maybe he's like a bit cautious. He wants Chilwell to provide a little bit more cover down the left, but like even defensively, we're conceding more chances down Chilwell and Colwell's side, because their attackers don't have to track back because Colwell stays back, and Chilwell doesn't provide any threat. So even defensively, I'd argue that that side doesn't even make us better, like defending, and it clearly doesn't make us better attacking wise. So it's just very strange. I don't know, like basic stats they surely are looking at, but he decides to keep it 4 games in a row, and it's very strange.
It is very strange. Obviously, we played Liverpool as well when Mudryk wasn't involved in that. I can't remember if he was fit for that now or not, but because in terms of what you said, then we have for the counter-attacking. I think for counter-attacking, I wouldn't even still be surprised if Poch will use Mudryk more in those types of games where we can counter-attack. The problem is obviously us being Chelsea, Stamford Bridge being a fairly small pitch as well, and playing a lot of teams like your Forest, like your Luton, that will sit deep, that will sit back all game, no matter the scoreline. At 0-0, at 1-0 up, at 1-0 down, they will constantly be sitting back. Obviously, Mudryk is not going to be able to use his pace as much then. And if he, like you touched on, doesn't really know what to do when he has to come inside, then that's obviously an issue. But at the same time, I'm like at Shakhtar, he wasn't always out wide. There was also times when he played more in the middle. I'm like, if a player doesn't know what they're doing more centrally, then coach them. By
the way, Laurenz, like one of the things you want as well, sometimes when you play a low block, is like just someone really direct and able to sort of just go at their fullback every time. Because when you play a low block, it's like obviously you either need that creativity or you need someone that's extremely direct and just keeps testing them until you break through. And I don't see, like, Chilwell's not that sort of take on, your 2 players at once. But Mudryk, like, bro, this guy has a lot of confidence. I can tell you why, because he took a shot against Forest from like 45 yards when we was 1-0 down. He came on, he took a shot, it got deflected. So it's not like he doesn't like try things. Like, so if we do play deep blocks, I don't even think is an excuse to say like, oh, he's not suited to this game because there's no space. Like, in fact, he could be more suited to it because he's our only winger. Actually, no, Madueke does as well. That every time they get the ball, they want to go and just run at people. So I actually think he can be useful in some senses against slow blocks as well.
No, of course, I agree. I'm not trying to say he's not going to be useful, but he's going to be able to use his pace less, which is obviously one of his biggest attributes. But yeah, at the end of the day, I don't really know what much else you can say. It's just like play him more. And once he's played more, then we can judge whether he's good or not. Because at the moment, we've all made our judgments in terms of the glimpses we've seen, and some people think he's good, some people think he's bad. Fair enough. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. But at the end of the day, I don't think any of us have seen enough to have a conclusive opinion, because there's people that are talented but never really manage to really put it down on the pitch. And he could be one of those. But he could also be one of those that can. And for now, we just cannot know that. And I just really hope that Poch gives him that chance. And, that Poch does with Mudryk, well, what he did with Son in an ideal world. I get what Jamie's saying, that he's seemingly that's going to be Sterling in that way. But still, it can, if, Sterling isn't the youngest anymore. If Mudryk outdoes him, then it can still be Mudryk. But Poch was coming here. One of the best things that I kind of, agreed on or was sold or told is one of the best things about Poch is developing young players. So please do develop Mudryk, for the love of God. Do you know what I mean? Because so far, the only one that's really developed is Gallagher, which is kind of baffling. But hey, at least it's someone. But yeah.
The thing is, all our players are young, so like someone's going to miss out on that, unfortunately. And
that's also
if they
true.
Don't fit a system, then it's going to be the ones that do fit the system.
Do you think players can improve in training? Or can you only really improve with games?
No, you can improve in. That's the point of training, right?
No, I would agree, but in terms of because then in terms of what you're saying, if they can improve in training, then it doesn't really matter if all of them are young. No, because they're all training.
Yeah, but the way I see it is like training. That's where you improve a lot, and the match is like where you like showcase it, right? I think confidence is just everything when comparing matches to training. It's not like matches are there to like build your confidence. If you're there and you're playing week in, week out, then you get more relaxed when you come onto the pitch and you can showcase things that you've worked on in training. But like if you don't get that match game time and confidence built up, you're not going to be able to showcase your actual abilities like properly. That's kind of how I've experienced it, I guess.
Yeah, no, I hear that. But yeah, at the end of the day, let's wait and see what happens with it, I guess, and hope it goes well. But like Charlie said at the very beginning of this conversation, let's stop with going after our own players, shall we? Like there was this one Chelsea fan that was at the England game and was literally telling Mudryk you're shit. I'm like, you're a Chelsea fan. You're a pitcher. And you're sat there chanting at your own player you're shit. Nah, mate. Like, this is why no one's successful at Chelsea. Like, we've signed some of the most talented young players in the world over decades. No, not decades, but over a decade. And how many of them were good other than Hazard? None. Oscar, nothing at the end, really. Like, was decent for a season. Otherwise, kind of didn't really fulfill his potential. Havertz was one of the best players in the world until that age. Sure, Bundesliga, I get that, but, we did nothing with him. He was awful for us in the grand scheme of things. How can we always just, blame the players? Like, it's just, it happens too often to just be the players' fault, in my opinion. So, and I'm not necessarily saying each individual of them, like, oh, yeah, Havertz could have been this. No, maybe Havertz is just not good enough. But we still signed him when he was a top talent, and we didn't do anything with it. And that happens with so many players. So, do something. But anyway, John Terry is beefing Matt Law, which is kind of hilarious. So Matt Law initially tweeted this story where it's like, an evening with John Terry, £25 to £30 a ticket or £100 an autograph or £500 for dinner with him. Tickets still available. Kind of just taking a piss a little bit. John Terry then reacted while walking along the golf course, did a whole video. I'm not going to show the whole video now, but essentially explained in detail how like, oh yeah, the media reporting that I'm doing this. And he's like, I'm obviously not doing this just to keep the money. This is for charity. And he has his own charity, John Terry 26 Foundation, and how much he's doing for that. The only thing I found a bit strange about this whole video is that he did a whole 2-minute video and didn't once say what exactly John Terry 26 Foundation actually does. So that's a bit weird. But still, he's doing it for charity. But I'm like, obviously, if John Terry is charging money for tickets and autographs, surely everyone should have understood straight away that this is for charity. Because obviously, he can't just need money, doesn't he? So obviously, he's doing this for charity. And then after that video, Matt Law quoted it saying, John Terry has now said all proceeds from his tour will go to a charitable foundation. Also said that he did not publicize the fact that it was all for charity until now. Which is also a bit true. Like, why would you first put it on sale and not straight away say it's for charity? bit strange, fair enough. But, do love how John Terry, this was at 4 a.m. my time, 3 a.m. UK time, replying to Matt Law saying, didn't fancy checking with this with my representatives first or the organisers. Interesting that, because then you wouldn't have the story you wanted. And writing, I'm donating all proceeds to charity, wouldn't work for you or the paper. I'm not even going to get you guys involved too much in this. I just find it kind of funny that John Terry is here beefing Matt Law. I want to finish on this graph here. I'm going to show it now as the last little conversation. I'm trying to not keep it too long because we need to wrap this up. From The Athletic saying, a way too early peak at underlying performance. First 4 matches in the Premier League. You can see the left side or the up and down graph is expected goal difference per game, and field tilt is essentially how much possession you have. Expected goals, Brentford are even higher than us. But in terms of field tilt and goal expected goals, only Arsenal and City are ever so slightly better than us. Yet we are 12th. The Athletic, as you can see here, have been putting it out there saying Chelsea have dominated with the highest field tilt, 74.5%. Carry on and things should start to click for them. That's my only gripe with it, I guess, because last season proved that's not a reality. We had the ball. We had, I think, at part of last season with Potter, we had more possession than even City, like right now. And we still never did anything with it. And no matter how many weeks passed, it never got any better. So now I'm like, maybe that's last season is just scarred me. And that's why I don't believe in it now. But for me, having 75% possession on average, that's arguably even too much possession. I was talking about this in a stream recently where I'm like, how about we start trying to drag teams out? Because we always just pass it around so high up the pitch where they're not going to come out. So we're not going to have any space. So then we always just pass it around between our 3 centre-backs, Enzo and the other midfielder, and essentially never do anything with it. So yeah, we have also decent expected goals, but those are individual moments rather than that as a team we do so. I just don't think that having that possession means anything. I would much rather have 60 to 65% possession than 75. Maybe that's just me. Maybe that's making football a little bit too simple. But to me, it's not even a good, because this just reminds me of last season. Because last season, I remember so many people talking about, we have the most possession. I'm like, yeah, but do I want the most possession? Because if you always have possession, you're never going to catch anyone out. And when you have a team that struggles to break low blocks down, and you never can catch anyone out because you always have the ball, how are you ever going to get yourself easy goals with a bit of space? We're always going to try to score when the opponent has every man behind the ball. And then it's just so difficult. Then it makes it just so much more difficult to score than when you win the ball back when the opposition is out of shape, when you manage to counterattack them and they are in full defensive formation. I don't think having the possession all the time is necessarily that beneficial. Pys, where do you stand on this? And when you see this graph, do you sit there and say, oh yeah, we'll come good eventually? Or because last season didn't look that different. If you look at a graph from last season at a point, say around Christmas, I guarantee a graph wouldn't look that different to this one. So I'm not sure if I'm that confident as the Athletic said, carry on and things should start to click. Or at least to what extent they will start to click.
I mean, I think I remember from the start under Graham Potter, quite a lot of our stats were promising, and then obviously it just went to complete shit.
The expected goals started to tail off a little bit.
Yeah,
but the possession was still always near 70 every game we played. We had more possession against City, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, I know we've also created the joint biggest chances created in the league so far this season. So, I mean, you look at those stats, you look at all the stats, and you think, okay, yeah, we're going to be fine. We'll start winning the games. But this is Chelsea, and things don't work out how it should on paper with us. It usually goes the complete opposite. So, I can't really say I'm confident it will pick up and we'll start getting results because. First off, I don't know how long we're going to keep this up for in terms of, actually playing or dominating possession. I think we can keep that up, but can we keep creating these chances? I'm not sure. Hopefully with, the correct lineup and system, we should be able to create plenty of chances with the players we've got. I think Cole Palmer's going to be a really good addition for us creative wise. But yeah, I can't say I'm confident, even though the stats are all pointing in our favour. To be honest with you, I think, they are really all pointing in our favour in terms of an attacking sense. I'm not sure what we're like defensively, but I know Sanchez needs to start saving some more shots, that's for sure.
Yeah, that is very true. He does need to start saving a few more shots. Jamie, when you see this graph, what does that make you think? Do you get my point of like there's also a thing as too much possession, especially when you have the team that we have in terms of very young players? The one thing that kind of all of them struggle with is the final, the final pass and the final finish. Where I'm like, the more you control and dominate, the more in defensive organization the opponent is going to be, and the more difficult those not super finishers are going to find it to finish. Or where do you stand on this? Or do you agree with how the Athletic put it? It's like, just keep doing this and eventually it will work.
Well, I don't think it will work because from what I've seen, well, I prefer like using what I've actually seen. And I see every time we've played is an extreme lack of creativity. Like we only have one side of the pitch we attack from pretty much. Nothing comes down the left. So I think, and I've seen like these XG numbers that we've created crazy XG, but how many of those were just Sterling creating something out of nothing? I'd say probably half, if not more, of those chances, because I don't personally remember that much coming from anyone else. Jackson's helped a little bit, or well, down the right hand side, like Gusto as well. He's had 2 assists because we actually create overloads down that side. We don't have anything. On the other side, we have Colwell staying back and Chilwell with 0 1v1 threat. So if it's not coming down the
And
right,
the problem is he's not even in a 1v1 that much. He's most of the time 1v2 because he doesn't have anyone helping him.
Exactly. And when he gets the ball, he's not thinking like a winger. He's thinking, okay, if we build up play and we have this kind of pattern of play that gets him through, then he can create a chance. But if there's a defender in the way, his first thought is to pass it back, right? And that's why we see this kind of recycled possession play, because it's not really going anywhere down that side. So then we recycle it, keep the ball, it goes on the right hand side. If Sterling can't make something happen or Gusto doesn't overlap, then it gets recycled again, and you just see that constantly. But I think also the difference like between us and City is like when I watch them, or even like Brighton, like their counter press after losing the ball, they recover the ball within like seconds. I feel like we're not doing that as well. I don't know, in games we lose the ball and then the other team kind of counter a little bit, or they're quite direct, and it takes a while for us to recover the ball. Like so many times City recover the ball in like a really dangerous area and don't allow the other team to kind of build it up, and they get a lot of goals.
And then the opponent is out of shape. A bit like what happened to us in that goal against Forest, right? When Caicedo's bad touch in our own build-up phase meant that we didn't have like the what's the right word? Kind of the recovery defenders behind Caicedo, because the fullbacks already drifted wide for the build-up, and there was only Thiago in the middle, and then Thiago kind of didn't react perfectly to it. And that's the moment where you need to try to win the ball back, when your opponents are trying to shift towards attacking and make spaces. And that's what I was trying to get at with just having the ball all the time. If you have 75% possession, there's going to be little moments where that can even happen. Because if you have 75% of the ball, how often can you win the ball back off the opponent? Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that point. But you want, when you give away the ball to the opponent and they start their attack, like you want your counter press in their attacking area. Like there's no point of it happening in your own box, because you don't really counter as much because they're sat back a little bit more. But yeah, I'd like to see us like, I remember when like Tuchel first came to the first game we played against Wolves, he was talking about, when you lose the ball, like the first 5 seconds, everyone just sprint towards the ball or sprint to close down every option, because the most dangerous time you are is when the opponents just like recover the ball, like, and you have to get it back. Like if you recover it from then, like there's a lot of spaces and there's a lot of disorganization, right? So I haven't seen us do that so well under Pochettino so far, I think.
No, we haven't. And I need to see more of it. I need us. Yes, we have created chances in moments. And yes, in terms of use those moments when a Sterling creates something out of nothing, score those goals, gain that confidence from it, and then allow the rest of the team to also become more creative and stuff like that. That is absolutely how it can go. Goals change momentums, goals change things. Look at the Luton game. That wasn't good until we scored, or that wasn't good until we scored the 2-0. But then once the 2-0 went in, it kind of became easier, and then everybody started flowing a little bit. None of the players we have are bad footballers, but a lot of them are very dependent on confidence. And when things are working, then they're going to be good footballers. But when things go against them, then you're going to have more bad touches, more bad passes, more bad decisions. And that just makes everything worse. And this is why I keep saying this is the problem with having young players. The more young players you have, the more reliant on confidence they are, because they are less self-confident, because they haven't proved to themselves, I am him, essentially. I can do this at the highest level. If you put, like, you know, Hazard before the injury troubles, if you had a bad game where things weren't working out, he wasn't doubting himself to do it again, because he knew, well, the last 100 games, I did it every time. So I'm going to do it again now. Now, sure, Hazard is more talented than all of the players we have. I get that. But still, the general point is still there. A more experienced player that has done it is not going to doubt themselves when things aren't working. But players that haven't done it, they will doubt themselves. So you need to provide them with a basis to actually perform. And then when they make mistakes, don't hit on them as fans and as manager. Don't then drop them for the next game. Don't then not use them as subs for the next 3 games, which is what happened to Mudryk for the last 7 months, which is why I think we're in the situation we're in. But yeah, Pys, unless you have anything else to add, I think I'm going to wrap this one up now. Ladies and gentlemen, please subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that like button on the way out. That would be massively appreciated. Just one click of a button, and really helps me out spreading these streams out to more people. Like I say, subscribe, just one click of a button, all the same, and really helps me out too. Check out Jamie's channel, CFC Deep Dive. Link is down in the description, as well as Charlie's channel. Subscribe to both of them, of course. And as always, please do check out Pys's website, londonsfirst.com, as well as his Twitter. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to round this one out. Thank you guys for watching. Up the Chelsea, upwards and onwards, and we'll see you next time.